Welcome back, Mosaic Soul. Welcome to Divine Earth School, the place where I share my journey and help you to discover the cross and intersection between your humanity and your divinity, where I talk all things health, wellness, mindset, life, spirituality, and creativity. So let's dive into today's content. So I really wanted to dive in and share about the power of detachment, and why that's super important. This topic really came up for me this week because I was finding myself in a moment of holding on to something and pushing away from something. And oftentimes, when we do that, we don't know that we're unconsciously creating a reality that we don't want, and we're actually pushing away or being a vibrational mismatch to that which we desire. And so, in this sort of culture that romanticizes hustle and control and emotional intensity or manipulation when it comes to getting what we want, be it love or success or healing or clarity or freedom, whatever form of freedom you're searching for. Oftentimes we have this sort of grasping type energy where we're holding on for something because we're afraid that if we let it go, what we desire won't come to us, or we're pushing away something because we're in fear of rejection or disappointment or whatever, right? And so true manifestation is really understanding that, one, we're manifesting all the time, and two, that it really starts to become more effortless when we can invite peace, tranquility, and soul alignment through understanding our divinity and how this universe works, right? And doing it without this need for gripping or trying to force something into happening. And so when we release our grasp and start to trust, and really not just trust, but embody and know that what we desire is already done, desire equals done, then what we want does come to pass, and often in the most unexpected and miraculous ways that our mind would call miraculous, right? And so this is where like the power of detachment really comes into play, because we're not coming from this place of like coldness or apathy or I don't care. That's what detachment is usually, depicted as, but we're really coming from a place of inner knowing of who we are, how powerful we are, and divine trust and timing of how things will unfold. And we don't need, when you're coming from a place of fullness, when you're coming from a place of it's already done, you don't grasp or hold on to things, and you don't push away things because you're already in the state of having what you desire. You see what I'm saying? So it's completely different energy. And I wanted to share that like detachment isn't rejection, it's really about resonance, right? So oftentimes we have in our minds, when we think about detachment, that we're pushing away something, or that it's this misconception that, we don't want what we want, or we're letting go of it because we don't believe that we can have it, kind of energy. And really that's actually resistance, which is still rooted in fear and lack. And so also the opposite of pushing away is this clinging tightly, which I talked about before, to an outcome or a person or a job or something, right? This grasping or obsessive energy, the pet the puppy to death type energy, is also rooted in lack, because it perpetuates the fear that you won't have what you desire unless you force or manipulate it or constantly prove your worthiness for it, right? So when you understand how powerful you truly are and who you are and how magical a creative, divine, infinite being you are, you understand that on a metaphysical level, everything that could ever be created is already created, and you already have what you're actually seeking. What you're seeking is seeking you. And so everything is energy, and when we match our desire, when we naturally become a vibrational set point of wellness and wholeness, then what you want naturally flows to you. And it doesn't mean that you don't take action and things like that, but you'll start to find that you move more intuitively, and that action naturally arises. Like you'll feel this sort of natural, I'm doing this because I feel it from my heart chakra a lot of times, that impetus to like move, to do something, right? And you'll find that you are more in an intuitive way because you're living more intuitively, and you're moving from this expectation that what you want already wants you. So if you have a desire for something, then that or something better will arise, right? And so I wanted to share some sort of stories behind what caused me to move into this energy. And as I was tuning into my divine team and my higher self, and they were just sort of guiding me this week, what kind of two major stories that really kind of pushed me into that energy is earlier this year I really experienced heartbreak. And I've experienced heartbreak, but not to the level of depth of heartbreak that I've experienced on this level. Like, I thought this person was my twin flame or soulmate to some degree, and it was so heartbreaking because I was holding on to something, and it was such a beautiful evolution in my part of learning to let go and learning that what wants me, I can't miss something that wants me, right? I can't miss something that's mine, right? And so I was in this sort of grasping, obsessive energy, which was weird to me because I'm very spiritually aware, but it was almost like this sort of unconscious soul contract or karma I was playing out. But it was definitely on this graspy energy spectrum, right? And so, of course, when I was in that spectrum, what I'm holding on to is going to slip through my fingers because I'm like, no, don't let go. And as it's slipping through my fingers, sort of that, I don't know, what just came to my mind was the idea or that scene in the movie The Titanic where, they're on the door in the middle of the ocean and she's like, Jack, don't let go. And she's like holding on for dear life, and eventually she has to let him go. And so it's that sort of energy of holding on to something. And then another instance that came to mind was a situation where I was dealing with someone who was very sort of toxic, for lack of better words, who definitely is on the cluster B spectrum and was quite dangerous. And I was definitely in this resistance energy towards this person in my life. And what I didn't know at the time was because I was in resistance to this person was obsessively sort of not stalking me quite to that degree, but definitely coming after me. And even to this day, I have had situations where, I found myself resisting that type of energy, and I will attract more people or that type of energy towards me. And so learning to let go of pushing away things that I'm thinking, no, I don't want this in my energy. No, leave me alone. Stop bothering me. Stop contacting me. I've blocked you. How are you still contacting me? Kind of energy is what I was going through with that person. I was continually attracting. So it's like what you resist persists. And so, what my divine team was reminding me of is that I don't have to be in resistance. When I know what I desire, that I'm safe, I'm whole. I don't, attract those type of energies. I don't need to focus on trying to push away that type of energy or even protecting myself or getting locked and loaded and all this type of energy. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's very smart to, stay locked and loaded and stay ready to protect yourself if need be, right? Because we do live in this world. I ain't dumb, right? We do live in this 3D fallen planet. But in general, from a spiritual perspective, energetically, I was vibrational match to that person's energy. And I'll call them a perpetrator because basically I was I don't know. This is my first time talking about this, so bear with me. But I was sexually assaulted by this person. And it was in a situation where I went into freeze mode. And so after that situation, I blocked that person. And that person continually tried to reach out and contact me or whatever. And so all that is to say, situations happen. And so we are vibrational matches to things unconsciously a lot of times because we are in this mode of grasping or obsessing or pushing away or avoiding, right? And so when we move into the beautiful space of peaceful neutrality, we can really start to tap into our sort of spiritual superpowers and let go of this neediness and graspiness or this avoidance type energy, and come from a place of wholeness rather than desperation. And so really, this can really apply to any area of your life, like holding on to a job or a person or an ideal way of doing something or being, and really when we're in that mode, it prevents new possibilities from arising or coming to pass because we don't necessarily believe that we can do better, right? Especially when we're in that grasping energy. When I was talking about the heartbreak situation earlier this year, what I learned is that, because I was so holding on to this person, of course I can't arise or let a new love into my life, because I was believing that I couldn't have something better, or I didn't. It was definitely triggering so many childhood wounds within me, which I actually appreciate now, hindsight 2020, because it allowed me to level up on so many different levels. New songs and new creativity burst out of that pain. And sort of like when you think of the lotus flower, it's nestled in a bunch of muck and dirt, right? But out of this dirt comes this beautiful creation, right? And so that heartbreak really taught me the power of letting go, and what is mine I cannot miss, right? And then also this idea of pushing away something, right? With this sort of sexual assault guy, right? Whether it's you're pushing away something, someone, or an unwanted opportunity, or even like food, right? When we're coming to like health and stuff, we're like, oh no, I can't, I gotta stay away. This is why when I'm doing health coaching with people, I try to encourage them not to focus on what they can't have, but focus on the abundance of what they can have. Because when you're resisting, it starts to persist. So coming back to the perpetrator, he keeps showing up in my reality because I'm resisting that energy. Or, if you're resisting eating chips and french fries, and then all of a sudden you're inundated with, all of a sudden you keep being, tempted by it, and then you just have this obsession with eating that stuff, right? Or, pushing away a person or whatever. It can come in different ways, right? We start to continually manifest what is not wanted because we're pushing away, for various different reasons. And so it's important for us to understand the different ways that these energies can kind of show up in our lives, because they really cause us to sort of wreak havoc in our own lives without us even knowing, because we're in this sort of grasping, obsessive energy, or pushing away / avoiding energy. And so detachment often has a bad rap of like, oh, you don't care. And it's really not that. It's really from a place of like wholeness. I can't really describe it unless you've actually felt it. But if you felt it, if you felt wholeness, definitely give this thumbs up, this video thumbs up, and comment below. Let me know if you resonate with this video. But it's really not about not caring, but it's about moving from your divine truth self and essence, and from this place of knowing that you don't really need to chase or push away, right? And that you're rooted in who you truly are and grounded in your own unique divine power, and you detach from the drama to return to your divinity. And so I wanted to share with you sort of 4 steps you can take to move from grasping or avoiding to detachment and divine trust. And so the first way is to witness, where are you operating from lack, right? A question you can ask yourself is, am I trying to force this because I fear it won't come? Or am I avoiding this because I fear disappointment or rejection? Or do I feel unworthy, right? And understanding that the first step is really awareness, and helping you to recognize these patterns within yourself so that you can loosen their grip. And so a journal prompt here for you would be, where am I grasping or resisting? And what deeper fear or story is underneath that? And then so the second step actually is to come back to the now moment, right? Both clinging and resisting often are fear-based. And so it's often taking you out of this now, what's happening in this now moment, right? And often the ego, the mind, will do all these sort of mental gymnastics to take you out of the now moment, which is your place of power, right? And so when you tap back into this now moment, you're tapping back into peace, you're tapping back into serenity, you're tapping back into abundance, you're tapping back into wholeness, right? And so returning to the now, you can just start by taking in a deep breath. Breathe with me now. In through your nose and out through your mouth. And as you do that, you can start to feel your parasympathetic nervous system coming back online. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And one more time, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And what you start to notice is you can feel your body more deeply. Bring your attention and your awareness to your body and sort of ground your energy into this now moment. And remind yourself that nothing is actually missing in this present moment outside of what my mind is telling me, right? And so a mini practice that you can do is just placing your hand on your heart and closing your eyes and saying out loud, I am safe, I am whole, I am divinely guided, I am divinely protected, I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. What I desire is already here, right? And then the third step is to really align with the frequency of already having. One of the things that my divine team always tells me is, Rachel, divine equals done. Desire equals done. Sorry, not divine, but desire equals done, right? So you don't actually have to manifest what you desire by wanting harder or working harder. You manifest by being a vibrational alignment with what's already yours, right? This is vibrational work, right? When you understand that we live in this vibrational universe and that everything is vibration, then you can start to approach your life from vibration first and letting actions arise out of inspiration or intuitive nudges, right? And so you can sort of visualize yourself already having and living in whatever you desire, right? What does that already feel like? I think especially in our society, we've practiced so much living in what we don't desire, complaining throughout the day or focusing on what we don't want, right? Like our minds, especially in our society of like rapid change and media all the time, we often have a tendency to focus in on what is not wanted. And so this step is asking you to focus in on what you already want. Focus in on already what's going well already. And when you do that, you become more of a vibrational match to that. You feel joy, you feel peace, freedom, or love of that version of you in this now moment, right? Because everything is already now, right? We live in this illusion of time. Yes, we experience time, but time is still an illusion. And so what you're doing is you're bypassing the sort of, 3D Carl Jungian society and moving into quantum, right? And so when you carry this emotional signature of joy, peace, love, and freedom into your daily life, you become a vibrational match to what you desire, and already having what you desire is already done, right? And so, that's really the step there, is to really align with the frequency of already having, embodying, being, becoming the energy of what you desire, right? And then the fourth one is to create a detachment ritual. One of the things that you can do is to let your higher self, let the universe, God, infinite intelligence, whatever you want to call it, know that you trust it. You trust, you feel safe and carried in your divinity, and that you're not alone. And so what you can do here is write your desire on a piece of paper, light a candle, or burn some herbs, and say aloud, this or something better in divine timing, by divine design, I let go and I trust. I let go and I embody, right? And then you can place the paper in sort of like a sacred box, or you can burn it as sort of like a releasing ritual. And so this ritual acts as a sort of nudge to your subconscious mind to relax its grip and enter into a vibration of surrender, right? And so surrender and detachment are very much so sister energies. It's all about really surrendering to the divine flow of your life, right? Understanding that you are supported and that you are divinely guided, and that your soul does have a purpose. And when you trust it, when you trust that, you have innate divine codes in your DNA, an innate divine blueprint in who you are, then this detachment really becomes sort of a step in a devotion to your higher self, right? A devotion to your divine path, a devotion to living life in alignment with who you truly are, right? So you can breathe, right? You can trust, you can embody, and you can relax and release your grip and know that you are fully supported, right? And so here's a bonus mantra for you is, I release the need to control. I return to peace. My desire is already done. So I'll say that again. I release the need to control. I return to peace. And my desire is already done. So let me know in the comments below if you resonated with this video. Give this video a thumbs up. And I hope that this message lands for you well. This was the soul nugget for today, for this week. and let this one simmer in. Rewatch this video if it resonates, to remind yourself, especially if you're feeling that graspy, tense energy or that pushing away, avoidance energy arise within you. Feel free to check out the blog post. I walk through the steps in the blog post as well. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. Remember to always flow with what feels good and let go of what doesn't, because you are divine. You are a divine being, and your soul knows exactly what you've come to explore and experience. So remember, what you conceive is what you'll receive. What you expect is what you'll get. And however you feel is what will become real for you. So vibrate higher, and I will chat with you guys next time. Peace, love, and light.